This is a Ford F150 letter badging customized with a blue holographic weave vinyl wrap from Vivid Vinyl. I'll show you how I did this in this video, so let's get started. Alright, so to get started, you can have your emblem already removed from the vehicle if you want. You can also do this while on the vehicle. You'll want to make sure that the surface that you're going to be wrapping, in this case I'm just going to wrap the faces, make sure it's clean. I'm just going to use a mixture of alcohol and water, and it's basically rubbing alcohol diluted with a little bit of water in it. I'm using 99% pure alcohol mixed with in about maybe 70% ratio to 30% ratio water, so I'm diluting it a little bit, and I'm just cleaning it off with a microfiber cloth. Make sure the surface is really good and really clean so that it gets rid of any dirt and oil, debris, things like that that could prevent the vinyl from sticking. Have your vinyl piece already cut. Here I am using Vivid brand vinyl, and this is their holographic kind of a weave chrome. This vinyl does have a plastic protective cap on it, as you can see here, and you can kind of see when I peel the cap how super glossy and shiny this looks. It's actually a really nice looking color here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off to begin with, since this is a small application and I'll be doing fine edges here. You also want to have some sort of knife at the ready. This is just a utility knife with 30-degree stainless steel 30-degree blades. Make sure that it's sharp. If you need to, go ahead and break a new piece off. I'm just using a breaker box here on my kit. Snap that off, and then that way you know your blade is super sharp. The sharper your blade will be, the better that it will cut and the smoother it will cut. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. Put this on top here, and what we'll do is make sure that it is going to kind of place it over. I'm going to do this in two pieces, one big piece for these letters here, and then another piece for these smaller ones here. I could do it all in one since it does all cover. Maybe I'll just end up doing that. We'll see how it goes. So go ahead and get that down and on the face of your vinyl. If you want, you can use a squeegee to help flatten it out. Now the important thing that we're going to have to make sure that we do really well here is to ensure that on each of the letters that the edges are really defined very well. And so go ahead and press that down. Use maybe a low heat. This is a chrome vinyl, so using low heat is advised because chrome can distort and it can go bad really fastly on chrome. So you can kind of see as I'm heating this vinyl, it looks like it's shrinking down. You can see the letters kind of just, the numbers forming up as I heat it down. Heat does shrink vinyl a little bit. Depending on the vinyl, some heat will cause the vinyl to shrink more than others. You can see the heat actually made this end of the vinyl kind of curl up a little bit, the loose edge there. Okay, so now you can see it also made it really tight on my lettering. And so I'm going to go ahead and make sure everything's smoothed down nice and neatly. I'm just using my finger right now. Okay, now with my knife, I'm just basically going to take my knife, the edge against one of the edges here, the side against one of the edge of the letters, just like this. And so be careful not to gouge, go straight down. These are angled letters, and I'm not wrapping the sides, I'm just wrapping the faces of this. And so if I do get it started here, now the edge of my knife, I'll cut this away so you can see a little better. The edge of my knife is up against the side edge of this letter, this F in this case, and I'm just going to slide it. It's important to have a really sharp knife so that it just slides right through the vinyl without any resistance. Okay, and so you can see here that's a nice clean cut because my knife is super sharp. Just follow that edge. It did turn here, and so I didn't quite turn with it, so I can trim off just a little bit more, and I'm using basically the very edge of my blade here, nothing too crazy. Alright, and so what you'll do is you'll do that for the rest of the lettering. So make sure that the edges are tight. The heat kind of made all the vinyl tight and shrink on the edges of the lettering. And so the tighter your edges are, and the more defined your edges are, the better your cuts will be. And it'll be a smoother cut with less chance of it getting jaggedy or wrinkly as you trim. So we'll do that for the rest of this, for the rest of the lettering on this emblem here. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I want to visit. Are you alive or just breathing? 'Cause Alright, so right now I have the F-150 basically done. I'm going to go back in a little bit and trim out maybe a little bit the edges a little bit better. I feel like I might redo this one here because it didn't turn out quite as good. I pulled up a little bit there and it messed it up a little bit. But the next part is to take care of these little letters. And so I'm going to reheat this again to kind of make sure everything is set tightly. Press that down real good so that my letters show really well. And then I'm going to go ahead and snap off a new blade in my breaker box here on my kit. And then basically I'm just going to trace each of these lines here. I'm going to use a micro squeegee first to maybe just trace this out just a little bit better to help me with my cutting. The better defined the line is, the easier it will be to cut. So if I do that, hopefully that'll make these cuts a little bit better, a little bit faster to do as well. So I'm just going to trace out each of the edges here to give myself a really good defined line. I do know that there is a gap. These silver or chrome letters are in a black plastic piece, and there's a gap that the chrome letters fit into this black plastic piece. That basically I'll be floating the tip of the blade into that gap between or in each letter, along the sides of each letter. So that's why it's important to define that line, find that line. That way you can just put the tip of your blade in that gap and then just follow it along the letter edges, and then that way this will trim out nice and cleanly.
Go ask for more, go ask for more. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit.
Alright, so basically I have this whole thing done. Now I'm going to just add a little bit of heat. And what the heat will do is make sure that everything is sealed down nicely. Put it on low here. And as you heat, kind of press everything down, press onto your edges, make sure everything is sealed down really nicely and pressed firmly on there. It'll also reveal if you have any air bubbles that you might have missed or left. And it'll also show where your edges are still kind of that need a little bit of trimming. And so if there's any other trimming that you might need to do, that's where you can do. Like I have a little bit here on this corner right here that I could trim off, or could stand the trim off just a little bit so it looks a little bit more even, more clean. And again, just carefully and slowly trim it off. Just that tiny little piece there on my knife. I don't know if it's focusing in there. That tiny little piece right there. Trim that off. And then you would just inspect your work just to make sure that it's to your standards or to your satisfaction. And that's it, guys. From start to finish, I've walked you through how I wrapped the faces of this F-150's letter badging with Vivid's Holographic Weave blue vinyl wrap. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button. I've got more videos in the works on the way that I'd love to share with you. Thanks again for watching, guys, and have a great day.